Thambapani, Taprobane, Ceylon, Sri Lanka, an island that enchanted the world for centuries with its splendid natural wonders, exotic culture, and famous hospitality. Even after thousands of years, Sri Lanka and its people continue to welcome visitors to its golden shores to discover the wonder of Asia. Tourism has been a major segment of modern Sri Lanka's economy. The inception of organized tourism in the island was under the colonial government Tourist Bureau in 1937, whose primary function was to serve oceanic cruise liners in their brief transit in the island in their trips to the Far East and the Far West. Following Sri Lanka's independence in 1948, the Ceylon Tourist Bureau was established with the purpose of serving the increasing numbers of tourists arriving to the island.
Tourism was considered as a major contributor to the economy somewhere around the years of 1961, when the late President Jayawardena was the Minister of State who was put in charge of this subject, and he is the person who gave the boost up.
In 1963, the Ceylon Hotel School was founded under the leadership of Prime Minister Sirimavo Bandaranaike to provide a platform for professionalism in the burgeoning industry.
That time, one of the first initiatives has been to set up Ceylon Hotel School. So we had the hotel school premises in the upstairs part of it, and also had about 10 rooms as a training facility for the students, and a restaurant and kitchen. At that time, we had only the 3-year diploma course plus the craft courses. Craft courses meant that every 6 months there was a batch taken in for the core 4 departments in a hotel. And then we had the management program, the 3-year diploma program. So those are the 2 main areas of study available to students.
Our 50 years of organized tourism begins only in 1966, after Minister of State J.R. Jayawardena introduced the first Tourism Act of Sri Lanka, which created the Ceylon Tourist Board, the first step in our 50-year journey.
The commercial tourism took off in Sri Lanka under Mr. J.R. Jayawardena.
So there they established a lot of regulations to promote tourism locally and develop tourism.
There was a need for more cohesion between government and the industry, and the industry made several attempts to make this possible by participating in the policy making, in the promotion of the industry. And we succeeded to bring this model in after long years.
So 68 Act was mainly that came up, powers to the tourism development. And then only that's the time the 10-year plan came, master plan.
Between 1968 and 1971, the Tourist Board refurbished and relaunched its rest houses around the island. Catering primarily to international visitors, these rest houses were beyond the reach of domestic visitors.
In the past, of course, there has been much emphasis in development of domestic tourism. There is a network of national holiday resorts in Sri Lanka.
In fact, identified certain resorts for development. That was done by what was then known as the Ceylon Tourist Board at the beginning in the 60s. The Bentota National Holiday Resort was the first one to be set up.
By mid-70s, lots of hotels have come, mostly in the southwest coast. East coast had a little development, and not to the extent. I think about 400-500 rooms came in the east coast, and more than 4,000 rooms came in the southwest coast. 76, 77, 78 saw a real boom in tourism.
With the vision of the master plan, the tourism industry progressed and opened up into new opportunities. Over the next decade, Sri Lanka made strides in reaching out to the global tourism world with initiatives such as establishing the Regional Secretariat of the International Union of Official Travel Organizations and organizing prominent regional industry conferences. Unfortunately, this great momentum was short-lived.
To take back slightly before the war started in 83, Sri Lanka was having around 500,000 tourists. In 81, we hit our peak, I think, around 420,000 tourists.
Had we continued in the same momentum, with the same momentum that we had up to 1980, I think by now we would have reached the 4 million target. And probably by 2020 it would have been 10 million.
Air Lanka Business Plus. It's one of the best business deals you'll ever make. Because we make business a pleasure.
By the end of the 90s, in the early 2000s, I think we had virtually got used to this now. And that time, few very, let's say, bold companies started again to invest in tourism.
So I think every government came to power, took a lot of initiative, but they found that this is a trust industry who can create. The country had so much to offer.
New visions and new strategies were formulated to tackle the challenges of an exciting future. New infrastructure such as roads and highways, ports and airports signaled the preparation for future development. In 1992, a second 10-year master plan was introduced to help diversify the direction of the tourism industry.
As I told, the master plan was established, and then they thought after 10 years they need another new plan. In 2005, it's a new Act of Tourism, where the authority was established.
The 2005 Act really gave a good muscle to the tourism industry by creating the 4 boards. One is the Tourism Promotion Board, then the other is the Development Board, the other is the Convention Board, and the Hotel Management. The Tourism Promotion Board really does the promotional part of tourism. Convention Bureau moves into obtain and encourage various organizations around the world to come to Sri Lanka and hold conventions with the facilities that we have.
Our marketing program is generally, it's a consist of both conventional and unconventional strategies. On the conventional side, of course, we continue to participate in trade fairs, trade shows, road shows.
Creating strong relationships between the private and public sector, attracting investments from global industry leaders, and venturing into new market segments became the points to focus in this new journey.
During this last 50 years, people are behind this, from the private sector. So it's the responsibility of the government to guide them, and to always we have to involve private sector in this field, because the private sector, they have the ideas, because that is their personal interest, because that is their business. That is why these private sector expertise are involved with these institutions.
We focus on about 20 key markets in general terms, but we are focusing on 5 major markets. If I am to name them, the India, China, the France, Germany and United Kingdom. We are planning to move into digital area, the digital marketing and destination marketing in a big way. In future, you will see we will be very active in the social media marketing destination Sri Lanka. Those 50 years, of course, tourism has contributed very much to the socio-economic development in this country.
This year alone, we opened hotel schools in Hambantota, Pasikuda, Nigambu, and in June we are opening in Polonnaruwa, so we are expanding. creating opportunities for people from the villages, the remote areas to gain employment in the industry.
Tourism is a great driver in many countries to spur economic growth because it brings about foreign exchange to the country, and it is a large employment provider. 25% of Sri Lanka's population will be directly or indirectly linked to tourism. That's the impact it will have on employment.
Sri Lanka tourism has come a long way under the guidance of many great leaders, and its journey is only beginning.